Okay, hi everyone. Can you just please confirm if you can hear my voice and if you can see my screen? I'm about to start this webinar. Okay. Today's webinar is quite interesting, and just crossing my fingers that everything goes as planned, because I'm having a nice, interesting demo of the day. So I'm still waiting thumbs up from everyone. It's pretty cold today. I'm sure the other regions are still suffering the same fate as us. In Joburg, it's extremely cold. I'm even shivering. But nonetheless, we will continue. Okay. So with myself, I have Kamugelo Serame. He's our RCT Cloud support. He handles our support inquiries and all the issues which you guys have. I hope, Julian, you have joined. Julian is he's always there. And the likes of David. I'm sure you guys have tuned in today. And hi to everyone, our internal sales team and everyone out there. Hopefully it doesn't reach planet Mars. You know, these aliens, they have advanced technology, and I might be streaming this event, but they are listening out there. So hi to the aliens as well, if you are there. And today it's basically more about using Azure as a DR solution. You know, it's quite important for you to have a testable and solid disaster recovery environment. Currently, there is a huge opportunity out there for customers or for end customers who are running on their Hyper-V and VMware environments. So it was so important for me to have this webinar so that we can tackle on all the steps you require and all the things you would meet during the course of you migrating or securing the environment using Azure Site Recovery Services. So as always, I will introduce myself. Kamu, I'm sure next time we have to introduce you as well. But yeah, we'll speak about that. Okay, so my name is Glenn Zime. I'm known as Dr. Azure. So as always, I'm always a solutions architect expert, a charter member, and a specialist in Microsoft Azure, and over 5 years and counting experience in cloud. As I love saying that I'm born in the cloud. Actually, you know, interesting, Kamu, year 2011, 2012, when Azure was starting, you know, people had doubts. They were like, nah, who in their mind will take just even their simplest Excel file and put it in Azure, or this funny Azure thing. And surprisingly, AWS was running already because they are the ones who took the cloud share market. So what's happening now is that's when I jumped in. I was like, you know what, this thing is gonna grow. And look at what's happening today, 2019, fast forward. Now things are happening in the cloud. AI, machine learning, varsities, big companies, the likes of Uber are disrupting the market. Uber is fully running the cloud. Yeah, so hence it is important for you as resellers, partners, sales, to at least get something in Azure. Get to know something, invest your time and knowing the platform, because it has a good return of investment. So yeah, So today's session objective and key takeaway is using Azure as a DR solution. And just to dive through our first slide, this is common. As you can see, disasters do happen. So, I mean, disasters not only the floods, but it can be a power outage. The load shedding have impacted our businesses. Please, guys, resellers out there, it's time for you to sell more UPSs. However, you can now move or secure environments using Azure Site Recovery Services, which we are covering today. So yeah, disasters do happen. I mean, obviously, we do meet challenges. You understand? So the challenge is the complexity around protecting the environment. You will get end customers telling you, like, man, we have 100 servers and they're all connected through different internet connection links, and they always portray this image of complexity. So that's their biggest challenge. That's why they fear to move into the cloud. I mean, it's so complex. And the second point is, yeah, we have a problem with the untested disaster recovery solutions out there. I mean, obviously, that decreases their confidence in implementing a disaster recovery solution. So, another thing is also the cost around the sizes of the VMs. Remember, every day VMs grow, and when they grow, what happens is also the costs they incline. So basically, those are their challenges. And what are we doing, or how are we addressing these issues using Microsoft Azure? So in current IT environments, you'll see that businesses are in silos. I mean, everyone is doing whatever they are doing. The IT is there, developers are there, the business workers are there, the servers are so separated. I mean, it looks like they're on two different planets, whereas they're in the same building, same infrastructure. So the flow is, currently we have customers have physical machines, physical servers, and then obviously we have transitioned to virtual machines, which are virtual servers. And then there are customers who are doing hybrid. Basically, they are combining their virtual servers, which are on-prem, and their cloud environments. So they wouldn't want to move everything into the cloud, which is understandable. So they are keeping some of the machines on-premise, and they are moving some of the machines into the cloud. And then there are those companies or partners or end customers who are investing everything, all their eggs in one basket. So everything is in the cloud. And so obviously Microsoft does covers everything in terms of that. And also what you'd want to have is a rock solid DR solution, and that is built in Azure. I mean, it gives you the breadth and depth solutions of business continuity and disaster recovery. So these are two concepts: business continuity, what happens in a case of an outage, and how can you recover from a disaster. So those are two concepts which you have to take today and try to see what can you put in your sales in order to push this. I mean, ask them, do you have any business continuity strategy? Do you have a disaster recovery plan? Okay. Obviously, with Microsoft Azure, what they've done is you can use their native tool, which is the Azure Backup. I've covered on my previous webinar. Azure Backup is a great tool which is native to Windows, which you can back up your Windows machine into Azure. So rather than using the on-prem storage of your NAS storage, then you would use your Azure storage using Azure Backup. Right now, we have the Azure Site Recovery Service, which helps to safeguard your environment, not only applications, VMs as well. And strange enough, Microsoft implemented Site Recovery on VMware environments first, before even Hyper-V. So to show their continuous support of open source technology, they've implemented first the ASR on VMware. So it works like a charm on VMware, even though it's a long process. However, should there be any VMware guys out there, please let me know. I'll be able to share some guides on how to move your or how to secure your VMware environment using disaster recovery in Azure ASR. But now, happy enough, we have also Hyper-V. So for sales guys, the customers who are buying Windows Server licenses from you to run VMs, that's an opportunity. Those VMs can be protected using Azure Site Recovery, and you can make a better, good sale out of that. And obviously, well, using Azure Backup, it's a separate service which doesn't come with the DR. So basically what happens is you would now install the agent on your server, or should you have customers who are using System Center, they can integrate those and they can be able to back up into Azure Site Recovery or Azure Backup Service. There is a question, are there recordings available for previous Azure Thursdays? Sure. Let me know. Let me give you my email address, okay? So then you can give me your email, then I'll be able to share with you our previous recordings. So basically what this Azure Backup allows you to do is to recover quickly from human error. You know, we are humans, we are not robots until robots are replacing us. But yeah, for now, we are still human beings and issues and errors can occur. So you cover yourself in terms of that, service outages, disasters. Yeah, I'm not sure, we don't have typhoons and tsunamis, you know, a lot, but yeah, should something happen, you want to protect yourself and your environment. I don't want to see you guys, you know, running off your premises, holding your servers in under your armpits, you know. You have to save yourself. Let the servers rescue themselves as well. Okay, so obviously the way they've done it with this Azure Backup is a simplified tool which you can back up all your volumes. You can back up your system state. You can also specify which files and folders to back up. Also, you can perform a bare metal recovery. So a bare metal is taking the entire machine with its state, with its drives, and backing it up into Azure. So should the hardware fail, you know that you can quickly recover your entire machine or your entire server. Obviously, you can set up retention policies, and with Azure Backup, as mentioned on my previous webinar, it has the longest retention policy up to 99 years, saving your data in the cloud. Obviously, you have the flexibility of storing on both local media or your Azure storage. So you can choose both. I mean, if you have a slow pipe or your slow internet connection, then what you do is you'd rather keep your backups on-prem and then replicate those on a schedule into the cloud. So should something happen on the on-prem backups, you want to push them on the cloud. And obviously, you can schedule the backups for once or multiple times per day. You can do so. And then obviously what it does is it can protect your Windows Server machines, also your Windows 10, Windows 7. Also, it does application backup. So you can do your Exchange. So if you have Exchange on-prem running on a server, it can back up that workload, your SQL, SharePoint, Dynamics, across both Hyper-V and VMware. So this is important to take away out of this. So on both VMware and Hyper-V, you can back up applications such as SQL, Exchange, SharePoint, Dynamics, and your legacy, your own, you know, line of business applications. And also, it can protect to disk, to tape, or to Azure. I'm not sure how many of you guys are still using tape backup. Just please let me know on the comment section. Just say, yes, we are still using tape, or yes, I do know a customer who's still using tape backup. So why am I saying this? Because Azure Backup is a good replacement for tape backup due to its long retention rate or long retention time. And then, yeah, obviously you can run, if you are having System Center, you can run DPM in Azure. That's a topic of another day, but for now, let's keep things simple. You can run Azure Backup on your on-prem machines, and also if you have a VM running in Azure, you can be able to protect that workload. And then coming to the site recovery portion, whereby you can replicate from site to site. So basically, you have one site, which is site A. You want to replicate the virtual machines onto site B. You don't want to replicate your VMs into Azure, but you want Azure to be the orchestrator between the two sites. You can cover those using Azure Site Recovery. So that's the first solution. You can do on-prem to on-prem. Also, you can replicate also from multi-site, and you can also use Azure as a third site also to replicate to. So if you're doing VMware, you know Inmate Scout. So Inmate Scout, it's how they set up their automation platform, let's say in a system center to manage their VMware environment. So you don't need to worry about much VMware. The VMware guy knows it better than us. However, it can cover such environments. And also what you can do on-prem to Azure, which is typically for those customers who don't have upfront capital to lease space or lease servers in a separate data center. So they would want to use Azure as a second site in order to fail over into Azure from their on-premise servers. And also what you can do is you can do replication also between two sites and also into Azure using Image Scout. So it is an automation platform which they use there to orchestrate the VM movement in VMware. So, I mean, if you're too ambitious enough and you are a reseller listening to this, it's a great opportunity to start learning VMware, start learning System Center, start learning Hyper-V, because this is what customers are currently running. So if you don't have that skill set, it's a problem. It's a big problem for you. So here are the scenarios in terms of Hyper-V. You can do Hyper-V to Hyper-V. So then your Azure Site Recovery becomes the orchestrator to move things around. For guys who are doing Hyper-V, you'd notice that this is a technology called Hyper-V Replica. So if you're doing Hyper-V Replica, it's Hyper-V to Hyper-V, then you can allow site recovery to orchestrate that, because to set up Hyper-V Replica, actually it can be a tough issue. I mean, I remember setting up one, you have to set up a network for the heartbeats, you know. Yeah, machines have heartbeats come. I know you are certified as well, you would know this, but yeah, machines do have heartbeats, guys. The same way we check your pulse, also Hyper-V has a mechanism to check pulse. So you can use ASR to check for pulses between two Hyper-V servers, or you can also replicate the storage for those Hyper-V servers using ASR. You can do replication on the third one. You can do Hyper-V into Azure. And also for VMware, you can do VMware to VMware or VMware to Azure. Please note, you can't do VMware to Hyper-V. No, you can't. You can't. I know the question was on its way. Can you do Hyper-V to Azure? No, there is a tool which you use on VMware, which converts the VMDK to VHD or VHDX. How I know that? I'm the doctor. So yes, I've worked quite a lot with Hyper-V, Citrix, KVM, Red Hat. Yeah, so guys, you just need to get those skills. I mean, you'll meet customers who are willing to spend $1 million. Just because that you do not know that solution, then you end up losing the deal. So please, guys, upskill yourself, Microsoft Learn. Okay. So yeah, my demo, switching quickly my screens here. So let me quickly share my screen. Okay, I hope you guys can see my screen. So let me exit my slides here. So I will open up my Hyper-V server. Okay. So I'll just minimize everything. I want to start everything afresh. So The server which is open right now, it is running. So this is an interesting setup, right? So I'm having Hyper-V running inside Microsoft Azure. Yes. So I'm running Hyper-V on a VM. That Hyper-V is running a VM, which is a VM. Okay, let's start afresh. I'm having a virtual machine in Microsoft Azure, and that virtual machine, it is running Hyper-V inside. Yeah, yeah. So that's clear. So let me just make sure so everyone yes can see my screen. So right now on my screen, this is my Hyper-V server. Guys, if you can't do this on a production server in Azure because of licensing and stuff. So guest clustering or guest VMs, those you use for development purposes and for testing, like as in right now I'm doing this for you guys as a webinar. So you can do guest VMs in a VM. So normally we used to the traditional way of buying a physical server then running Hyper-V. Right now we can do a VM in a VM, but please note, now you need to have server 2016 as a minimum or server 2019, and the VM in Azure should be a version 3 of whatever SKU. It can be a D series, it can be an F series. Let it be a V3. Now, a V3 allows you to do guest VMs on a VM. And you can see I'm running a Xeon, a decent Xeon with 16 gig of RAM. So that's my setup here. I've installed my Hyper-V, and I have some 2 VMs. So for sales guys, you've been selling these things for years now. This is how Hyper-V looks like. Okay, let me do full screen. Just indulge yourself with the looks. It looks great for us IT pros. So this is Hyper-V. So what I want to do is I want to show you basically how to set up disaster recovery from Hyper-V on-prem. So this will act as our on-prem server to Azure. Please note this, I didn't create it up front. So whatever I do now live, it's something which I'm doing. So the first step is you have to create a recovery service vault. So to create it quickly, you would come to new, and then you would say site. So you would see backup and site recovery here, and then you go through the wizard, same wizard you've seen throughout the videos. And then what you'd end up with this, which is a recovery service vault. So basically here on the what's new, this is nice. They always release the new features which are available, which were not available. So right now I can see you can protect VMs using storage space direct. For guys who are doing storage space direct on VMs in Azure, now it's supported. And the managed disks are now supported for VMs. Before we were using storage accounts. Yes, right now you can use managed disks to protect your VMs, and your replication will now replicate to the managed disk instead of that old painful way using the storage accounts, which charges you for transactions, read, write, delete, modify, view. No, I'm not sure about view, but yeah, they're charging you. So overview, this is where you can see your backups. This is where you can view your site recovery. And basically to get started, I have to come here, site recovery. Now, everything in Azure, guys, it's a wizard. It is a wizard. It's nice. Shout out to Microsoft. You've done a great job for us, because previously it wasn't like this. So for us guys who've been in Azure for years, some resellers I know, they've been with Azure since golden ages, dragon ages, where we used to do things in that old ugly looking portal. Microsoft did accept that fact that it wasn't looking good. So yeah, right now we have a wizard. The first step is prepare infrastructure, and then second one is replication. So prepare infrastructure, clicking on it, they're asking you simple questions, 5 steps. Question 1, where are your machines located? On-prem or in Azure? Now, when do you select in Azure? This is when now you want to fail over machines from your South Africa data center into North Europe. Okay, so right now we'll say on-prem. And where do you want to replicate your machines to? To Azure or to a recovery site? So if you have, let's say, you have a site in Johannesburg, you want to fail over to Cape Town. This is the option you select. Okay? But now, if you want to fail over Johannesburg into Azure, then you select to Azure. Now, are your machines virtualized? Yes, with what? Yes, with Hyper-V. Yes, with VMware. Not virtualized. That means you are trying to fail over a physical machine, not a VM. That's the third option. Second option, you are using VMware. First option, you are using Hyper-V. This is what I'm going to use. Now, are you using System Center? No, I'm not running System Center, but should you run your VMs on top of System Center Virtual Machine Manager, which is VMM, then you'd say yes. Right now, I'll say no. Now, there is a tool you need to download called the Deployment Planner. So the Deployment Planner, it will help you to estimate the network bandwidth storage to meet your replication needs. Let me check time. I still have some time to play with. Now, let me download this tool for you guys. I want to show you live how this looks like. So, so it downloads a zip. So that zip file, it contains the binaries for ASR Deployment Planner. So let me fire it up. Okay. So basically it runs, it needs me to extract this. So basically it runs some scripts which will gather the utilization of your VMs from the CPU to the memory to the storage. Then it can give you and say, look, based on what you have currently, please expect to have this delay, or so it runs this tool. Actually, it runs on PowerShell as well, or CMD. So it can give me an error to run. So obviously I have to say deployment planner, work, whatever. So let me just see if I can fire this on CMD. But for resellers, for you to be able to get accurate readings, this is your best friend. So what I'll do is it will give me an error. Thanks. Okay. So this is CMD, guys. If you don't know CMD, it's an issue. But for sales guys, you don't need to know this. So these are all the commands you run. Okay. So I called. So let me do it again. This is not magic. Okay. So I called ASR deployment. So ASR deployment planner. Then for all the command switches, I say /?, and then it gives me the entire list. So you will see some switches. If you want to know how to use this tool, I mean, it gives you even some examples, generate report on which server, it exports the TXT, you have your nice examples there. So take your time. Taking your time means that play with it. If you don't have an Azure subscription, please get in touch with myself on CSP, because CSP it's cheaper, number one. Number two, you have access to myself, the architect, and Kamu, the support. Should you decide to betray us and go directly to Microsoft, and then obviously I can't intervene in that regard. So that's the deployment planner. We will just lie to Microsoft. Have you completed the deployment planning? Yes, I've done it. So you'd want to play around with the tool and then just say yes. But for the sake of the demo and time, I'll say yes, I've done it. And then you have to select the source. Okay, where are these machines coming from? Now we need to have you need to add a Hyper-V site. Okay, so you need to add a Hyper-V site. Then I'll click site. So I'll say okay. Then I'll select OK. And then within a Hyper-V site, then you can add your Hyper-V server. So think like this. So you have Johannesburg, you have Cape Town, you have Durban. Those are different sites, and each site might have its own Hyper-V server. So you'd want to properly plan. If you have a multi-site, then please create site and then add Hyper-V server in those sites. So right now I'm adding the Hyper-V server. And now what it will say, it says you need to register your host. So what it will do is I will download a Microsoft Azure site recovery provider. Okay, so I'll hit download. So what it will do, it will download an application which I need to install on my Hyper-V server. Okay, so actually these are the Vault credentials. So let me just clarify this. So the step 3, I download the application. Step 4, I download the credentials. Now, a question would come and say, how secure is this? So this uses certificate authentication because the Vault only speaks certificates. So it doesn't use usernames and passwords. So the replication between your machines and the cloud is encrypted. Hope that answers the question. So what I would need to do is now I need to fire up this tool, run it, and then what it will ask me, it's a wizard. I love wizards. No, I don't want to check updates. Yes, install. And then what it will do, it will install the Azure Recovery Services agent, which will run on this Hyper-V server. Now, while it is installing, let me clarify the VMware part. The VMware will cost you an arm and a leg of time because you have to deploy a separate virtual machine which will run your tools, okay, which will run your tools in VMware. I don't want to dive deep into that, but if you are interested, let me know. Now the installation is done. I will hit register. Now the registration part, it will require that Vault credentials which we have downloaded. So you will see the Vault credentials. It pulled everything, even my subscription, even the Hyper-V site name, Azure Thursday. So if you have a proxy, you can set up proxy. So we are connecting without a proxy server. And then what it does now, it is registering this Hyper-V server with Azure Site Recovery Services. Guys, are you still following? Please let me know if you're still following. If not, please do let me know. If you have any questions, please do let me know while it is registering this server with the ASR. The nice thing and the unique thing of Rectron is we are doing things live. You know, I can relate to some other guys. I won't mention their names. You know, they just play with slides, frustrate you, and then when it's time for hands-on, like do it live. We are Thomas, we want to see. They can't. So it's nice to have Rectron as your CSP provider because you have access to the architect Glenn and our support, which is always vigilant. If you have any issues, we are always there for you. And we try to empower you guys practically, not only theoretically and say, this is the cost, this is what it does, done. We want to actually show you on how it is actually done and to also prove to you that you can do it yourself. It's not something which is impossible. It's not alien technology. This is the great thing of using Microsoft's product. They are now trying to simplify things. So now it is initializing the registration. So it's speaking code, now it's speaking computer language. From here onwards, the only thing we can understand is that green thing which is moving across the screen. Okay, Andrew, we're still together, sure. Yeah, and guys, Cape Town, are you alive today? Are you connected? I think we should pay Cape Town a visit, yeah. And I think Cape Town, let me just admit, I think they're having a cold front. Yeah, the cold front is affecting them. The Bloom, I haven't heard of Bloom. Anyone from Bloemfontein, guys representing? You know, I stayed in Bloom for 5 years. I mean, yeah, 5 years. It's a nice place, but if it's cold, it's cold. If it's hot, it's hot. Yeah. So you can see it is done registering with the Azure Site Recovery Vault, thanks to the demo gods. Now, what I'll do is I will close here, and what it will do is it will now try to look for the Hyper-V server. So let me just close this part here. Okay, so I'll come back here, and then you will see now it added my Hyper-V server. Here it is, Hyper-V. Okay, so step 2 is done. I'm having my Hyper-V server. So if you have multiple Hyper-V servers, Then what you do is you'd add them, you'll see them popping here. Now, this is where now you have to specify your target. Okay, your target, step 1, you need a subscription. Step 2, you need a storage account. Step 3, you need a virtual network. So I don't have a storage account. So what I'll do is I'll just use the standard one. But you can create a storage account dedicated to site recovery. You can create a network dedicated to site recovery. I'll work with the default. It's fine for me. Now, what it does now is it is now asking you to create a replication policy. Now, replication policy, I'll say Azure Affairs policy. And from this source to the destination, how frequent should it copy? Now, clicking on this, you can see that the 15-minute option has been retired in favor of 5 minutes. Yay! Because the initial replication was 15 minutes. Now they've seen that, I mean, 15 minutes of delay, it's long. What happens after that 15 minutes? That means you've lost 15 minutes of your work. 5 minutes is at least. High five to Microsoft. And recovery point retention in hours, number of hours to which the recovery points will be retained. So it's from 0 to 24. I mean, remember, this is fast. Every 5 minutes is replicating. You can do application consistent snapshots. So the default, I believe, it is an hour. And then initial replication starts immediately. It's fine. Then I'll click OK. So we've created our policy and we are associating it to this recovery services vault. So what it's doing now, it's creating the replication policy, okay, which won't take time, hopefully. Yay, it's done. So it is associating it to this Azure Thursdays. So time is still on our side. I'm still waiting for questions to pop through. I mean, guys, you should have questions. Not unless I'm that good that you guys understand everything from the start to the end. And I know if Julian, you are there, you are one person who always have questions. I'm waiting.
I'm guessing maybe you are very good at, training and demonstrating,
I mean,
it's explain in full detail, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, guys, if Kamu understands, I'll assume, because Kamu is the slowest one, Yeah, so, but anyway, I'm happy, Kamu. Thanks for your compliment that I'm a great trainer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to put things as easy as possible. I wouldn't want to throw people around, prove to them that I'm a technical expert, and first, no, just keep it simple and then guys will understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I can just hit view. So I'd actually want to track. So this is nice. It's giving us what it's doing. So it's configuring the protection settings, which is, you see, it's in progress. So what we'll do, we just give it some time. We still have some minutes left. Leave 15 odd minutes if I'm accurate. So that's site recovery, gentlemen and ladies. So it is a nice tool, a nice platform, easy to use. And the question will be, what is the minimum RPO and the RTO? This is based on multiple factors. I mean, your environment, how far are you from the data center? I mean, we are in South Africa, it's fine. And how fast is your internet line? But anyway, Microsoft can swallow everyone's internet connection. I mean, they can swallow us. Yeah, they can swallow us just to answer you. So never mind of the bandwidth from Microsoft to you. It will be you to Microsoft. And if you have issues with your, you need lightning fast and you have the budget for that, consider using Express Route, which is a dedicated line from your site to Microsoft going through the public. So right now we are done here. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Hit OK. Done. Okay. So we are done with the preparation. Okay. So what I'll do is, let me just hit this one now. Then I'll configure my replication from where, and then this is where now it will ask me quite a lot of questions and say, okay, from which subscription that. Now, post failover resource group, what it means, which resource group should these virtual machines fail over to? I'll say this one. Now, deployment model, we are using resource manager. On which storage account these VMs should fail over into, I'll use this one. And on which VNet, okay, so I'll say, I can configure now for the selected VM, so I can configure later, which is fine. So if I say configure now, I can select the VNet, which I want these machines to fail over into, and then I can select on which subnets they should reside to. Okay, so there is a question. The email address, you can send it to myself. Okay, so I believe my email address was published. So let me post it again. So it is glenty@retron.co.za. Okay, so this is where you can send me the request, then I can share the links with you, then you'll download the previous webinars. Now, this is the subnet we've selected. I'll say okay, and then it will populate my VMs which are running on my Hyper-V server. Okay, so basically I'll select which VMs to select or to protect. I mean, if your customer has specific VMs to protect, this is the time whereby you'd say, okay, we are protecting these ones first. So I'll select both of them, and I'll configure their properties, the OS type, because I mean, I didn't properly configure those. I'll mandatorily manually select this, and so I'll just say okay. Okay, so now here's the heads up here. I've created my machines using generation 2. Now you can see for Linux it wants you to use generation 1. So let me just cheat it and say Windows and see what it will say. Stupid. So okay, so I just cheated it, but please remember generation 1. So basically, what do I mean by generation 1 is if you create a new virtual machine on Hyper-V, this is where it asks you about the generation. So I used generation 2, which supports UEFI and 64-bit operating system. But because of its Linux, it wants you to use generation 1. Please put a note on that. I mean, play around it, guys. Surely there is a way to bypass that, but you guys have more time than I. So please let me know if you have a way around that. But yeah, I've cheated it. So here are the settings for the retention policy we created previously. I'll hit OK. We are done. Then I can enable replication. That's step 1. Now, enable replication means that now it's starting to move the hard disks of those VMs on-prem into Azure. Okay. Now, while it is doing that, I need to address the cost issue. Okay, I'm going to open a calculator in the next 3 minutes. Okay, so what it is doing now, it's enabling protection, and also on my Hyper-V server here on-prem, something should reflect here. Let me see. So something under status should write here that protecting VM. You would see the status showing here. So, and then afterwards, then yeah, Bob's your uncle, then you are ready to roll. So you can now go to the step 2 and manage the recovery plans should you want to change anything there. Okay. So no questions yet. That means everyone is still understanding. Okay. So this can take quite some time because it speaks back to my Hyper-V. Okay. So this is my Hyper-V. And then afterwards, then you would be able to see now your VMs popping that side in Azure. So let me just close this part and I'll go to replicated items. Okay, you'll see now under my protected items, replicated items, I have these ones. It's healthy because it is enabling protection. So if I click enabling protection, I can check now what it is doing, it is identifying the replication target. So it's setting up the target network where it will reside in a case of a disaster. After, it will replicate, and then it will update the status. Okay, so you can see it is successful. It is enabling the replication. So what you'd want to do is check something, sending initial replica. Okay, so Hyper-V now it's speaking to Azure. I know it will fail because I didn't set up this properly, so my machines are actually not running at their dummies, but at least you saw that message popping there. And then what it's doing now, it says successful, but I know deep down in my heart that it won't work because those VMs are not actually VMs. I just wanted to make the demo quick for you guys to see. So if I perform a refresh here, you would see now it's starting to sync. Okay, so what is nice is this platform allows you guys to perform test failovers. Okay, so if you want to perform a test failover, okay, so right now we are having these two guys here. And then, so what's happening is if you want to perform a test failover, you can basically, you are testing if you are having, if something should happen, and then what would happen with the migration. So what you do is you can also check your Hyper-V hosts over here. You can click through, and then you can see the heartbeat. Remember, I told you machines have heartbeats? Yes. So it's taking my wrong system time. It's fine. And then you will see the policy. So yeah, so this is nice thing. So what I can do is, what I want to actually show you is if it will allow me to perform a test failover. Okay. So guys, I'm still waiting for questions. Okay. So how many of you guys have Azure subscriptions? So how many of you guys have Azure subscriptions? Because I mean, the only way to learn this is basically if you have the subscription yourself. Okay, so if you don't have a subscription, what are you waiting for? Get in touch with myself. If you're a reseller on CSP, we can provision you your internal CSP Azure account. So why internal? It's because you can do proof of concepts on it. And then also what you can do is you are able to, like run your internal workloads on it. So yes, I have it. Okay, it's good, it's good. So you can play around the options. Yeah, this is what you see. So this is for VMware. So you want to see anything here. This is for System Center, and then this is for Hyper-V. You can see our one host, how many protected VMs. You can see such. So we can't perform a test failover because it's still replicating. But yeah, just try it out yourself, guys. It is an interesting something interesting to do yourself. And if you have any issues you encounter, please do let me know. I'm able to have a remote session with you and take you through it. So yeah, guys, right now it's time for questions. And on that note, there will be a calendar release. I'm not sure if it's out yet, but you should receive a calendar where you can RSVP. There was a slight delay on our bulk email sending mechanism. I'm not sure why, but however, it is sorted now. The topics are interesting. I must say the topics are very, very interesting. So please, guys, be on a lookout for that email, RSVP, and the progress on our prices. I've spoken, and they are doing something for me because it's a great initiative we are doing as Rectron to empower our resellers and partners in getting themselves upskilled and tackling issues in Azure. And one of the topics I'll be having is getting started with AI in Azure. How many of you would be attending that session? Please, with a reply of yes. There is a nice session I'm planning, getting started with AI in Azure. So we'll be doing some artificial intelligence. Oh, okay. So yeah, it's an opportunity for you guys to see how easy it is and how quick you can sell it to your customers. Okay. So with yes, I'll be doing the AI. So without the yeses, I'll just teach you the simple things, not the wow things. And as we progress, guys, I'm looking forward to receive your topics. And thanks to the PE guys again, I've featured some of their topics on our upcoming. Andrew, sure, I'm going for it. We are doing AI. We are getting started with AI. We'll be doing face text to speech, text to whatever, or anything you can think of. The OCR we will be doing. We can do also facial recognition. Yeah, we can do quite a lot of things. Logic apps, bots, yes, bots. I'll be covering bots, the Q&A bot. Yeah, it will be an interesting thing. Imagine if you're doing bots for your customers. That's another income just coming, And it's a nice thing because it is a rare solution out there, yet everybody's speaking about it. So guys, resellers, prepare yourself. Please have an Azure subscription. I'm planning to have a lab. I think we'll be having a lab here at Rectron, if not at Microsoft. So I'm still speaking to guys at Microsoft if they can help us with. They have a nice looking lab at Microsoft for the Joburg guys, and the remote guys will be joining remotely. However, if it's failing, I'll push it to be online, and you guys, a requirement will be to have an Azure subscription. So basically, I'll share a guide on a step-by-step. We'll be doing solutions in the Microsoft Azure platform. And should you see that as a great thing to do, please do let me know. I mean, also for you sales guys, I mean, when you are there back at home, you can do this for yourself. I mean, it's a great thing to deal with a salesperson who's competent. Competence is everything. Why they're placing orders with you right now? It's because you know the product. Okay, so right now we are in the cloud. We are in the fourth industrial revolution, which is cloud, AI, machine learning. So just knowing it will definitely help you guys. So I'm left with some few minutes. If you don't have any questions, guys, you are welcome to exit the webinar. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. I'm looking forward to see you on our next week's webinar. Be on the lookout for the email, please RSVP. Send through all your questions. I'm still waiting for the email for that attendee who needs previous sessions. We are waiting for that. Should you need anything from my side in terms of CSP, getting started on CSP, please send me direct the email and ccmvl, Mama Victor Lima at rectron.co.za. We'll be able to take you through and guide you through the steps. And also, should you have any issues with O365, I'm the right person, and Kamu there. We have Tabiso also. Shout out to Tabiso there. He's handling also, he's doing quite good with support. So yeah, guys, it was lovely having you. If you have questions, the Q&A is still open. Thank you so much.